A guy scammed me, so I ruined his life. I am a private investigator, and about 3 years ago, I was hired to do a personal contract. The client, a rich, sleazy snob, was apparently stupidly rich. He hired my unit. He believed his wife was cheating on him with other people, and he wanted proof of this so he could start his divorce process. With solid evidence, he contracted us for a 6-month contract and was to pay the company X amount of dollars upon completion. So we set up surveillance cameras all over his large house, and in the wife's car with the client's permission, we had at least one of the team tailing her at all times. Day in and out, we watched their lives. And in this line of work, you either get detached or emotionally invested, like watching a soap opera. As we watched them, we quickly saw this lady was a saint. She volunteered at a soup kitchen in a children's hospital. She helped local churches with canned food drives. Those kinds of things, she was the perfect definition of what a good human should be. On the other hand, the husband was a total SAS. He was the one we caught many times bringing women to his house. Sometimes he would bring 2 or 3 girls in one day, and that is only what was recorded in the house. We arrived at the 4-month mark, which is basically where we show all the evidence and give the updated report. We show him everything that we found and have a 6-hour debrief with video and audio support showing that she hadn't done anything wrong, other than a speeding ticket and a few double parking situations. After we concluded the debrief, he looked stupefied. He says, "So, you didn't catch her cheating." What was the point of me hiring you, my boss? Our captain turns to him with a serious stare, which is perhaps in the most serious and badass-looking face I've ever seen in that man, and said, "You hired us to investigate your wife. You're unhappy that your wife is an honest and faithful woman." The snob is visibly annoyed. He stands up and is getting his jacket when my captain says, "Look, there is still 2 months on the contract. We will keep tailing her and we'll meet again after our contract is up and give you any updates." The snob turns to him and says, "Don't bother. This is over. I'm ending it. Come when she is not home and get your equipment out." So a week later, we did exactly that. Now when contracts like this are made, a small portion is paid upfront as commission fee, and the rest is paid at the end of the contracts allotted. Time in his case, it is 6 months, so fast forward to the next payday. After the contract is officially over, my unit gets a call from our office to come in on the next payday, as there is an emergency meeting regarding us and the last contract. We get there and find out the snob pulled the funding and refused to pay us for the work, so we're getting paid, just not with the completion bonus. We all left super angry. We went to lunch and brainstormed how to get even with the deviant. Then we remembered all the house footage of his dirty deeds. At first we wanted to blackmail him, but that's low and we're better than that. I remembered the wife, so I reached out to her. I set a date to sit down and explain everything to her. I showed her the videos. She cried for a good half hour. I think I broke her whole world. It was gut-wrenching. I then advised her to get a lawyer and proceeded to give her a copy of all the collected evidence in my business card. Fast forward about 6 months, I'm called into court as my company is suing him for fraud, breach of contract, and unpaid dues. My company wins the case easily, as his lawyer's argument was that we failed to deliver the result he wanted, but we weren't hired to deliver a product. We were hired to observe and report. We got paid in the end. I was contacted as I was leaving the courthouse by the wife who thanked me. For all the evidence, she got a divorce because of all the evidence I gave her. She got almost everything. His huge house both, cars, and a huge cash sum. We coincidentally bumped into each other again about 6 months later in the local mall. We caught up over coffee and we are currently dating. It's so comforting to know you can trust someone. I've been a private investigator for over a decade, and in that time, I've seen the best and worst of human nature. People think this job is all excitement, hidden cameras, tailing suspects, catching cheaters in the act. But most of it is paperwork, long nights in cars, and watching people live lives they think are private. You either grow numb to it, or get emotionally entangled in the story you're watching unfold. 3 years ago, I took a case that would change my life forever. The client, a wealthy, arrogant man who looked like money had rotted his soul, walked into our office like he owned the place. Custom suit, diamond watch, the kind of smug smile that makes you want to look away. He told us his wife was cheating on him. "I need solid proof," he said. "Something I can take straight to court when I file for divorce." His voice dripped with entitlement. He wanted to win his divorce, not survive it. My captain assigned me and my team to the case. 6 months. Full surveillance. We were to track the wife's movements, install hidden cameras in the house, with his written consent, and tail her everywhere she went. Easy money, or so we thought. From day one, the footage told a different story than the one we'd been sold. The wife wasn't sneaking around or meeting lovers in secret. She was volunteering at a children's hospital, delivering food to homeless shelters, spending afternoons reading to cancer patients. She smiled easily, hugged strangers, and spoke to everyone like they mattered. The more we watched her, the more we realized she wasn't just innocent. She was good. Her husband, on the other hand, was filth disguised as wealth. While she was out feeding the poor, he was bringing women, sometimes multiple women, into the house he'd wired for surveillance. He'd treat them like trophies, bragging into his phone about his wife's stupidity and how he'd soon bleed her dry in court. I'd seen cheating before, but his arrogance made my skin crawl. At the 4-month mark, we had our first official debrief with him, a 6-hour session where we present all the evidence, videos, and updates. He arrived late, looking bored, swirling whiskey in a glass as we began showing him footage of his cheating wife doing charity work. When the meeting ended, he sat there, stunned, staring at the blank monitor. "So," he said slowly, "you didn't catch her cheating?" My captain leaned forward. "No, sir. Your wife is completely faithful. The only offense she's committed in 6 months is a speeding ticket." He frowned, confused and annoyed. "Then what the hell was the point of hiring you?" My captain gave him the coldest look I've ever seen. "You hired us to investigate your wife, not frame her." He didn't like that answer. He stood abruptly, muttering curses, grabbed his jacket, and walked toward the door. My captain, ever the professional, said calmly, "There are still 2 months left in the contract. We can continue the work." "Don't bother," he snapped. "This is over. Come when she's not home and take your toys out of my house." And that was it. A week later, we retrieved our cameras, packed up our files, and waited for payday. Only, when payday came, we got a call from the office. Emergency meeting. The client had pulled the funding. He'd refused to pay the final sum, claiming we hadn't delivered results. No completion bonus, no final payment. Just a slap in the face after months of work. We were furious, not just because of the money, but because of the principle. We did our job. We delivered the truth. He just didn't like the truth he paid to see. We sat around a diner that night, angry, brainstorming. Someone joked about blackmail, using the footage we had of him cheating. But that's not who we are. We don't cross that line. Then I remembered her, the wife, the woman he was trying to ruin. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I reached out to her directly. I told her I had something important to show her, something about her husband. We met at a small cafe downtown. She arrived nervous, polite, not yet knowing her world was about to shatter. I showed her the footage, every clip, every betrayal. The nights he brought women home, the lies he told on the phone. By the end, she was sobbing, shaking uncontrollably, holding her head in her hands. It broke me to watch her break. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet. "Thank you," she said. I thought I was crazy. I thought it was me. I gave her my card and told her to get a lawyer. A good one. I left her with a copy of the footage. 6 months later, I got summoned to court. Not for her case, but for ours. My company was suing the client for breach of contract and unpaid dues. He'd tried to claim we failed to produce results. But we had our own evidence, timestamps, contracts, proof of completion. The judge didn't even hesitate. We won. He had to pay every cent he owed, plus legal fees. As I left the courthouse, I saw her, the wife. She walked right up to me, tears in her eyes, but a smile on her lips. "You don't know what you did for me," she said. "Because of the evidence you gave me, I got everything. The house, the cars, the money. He tried to lie in court, but your footage destroyed him." She thanked me, hugged me, and walked away. That would have been enough, but fate had other plans. Half a year later, I ran into her again, by accident, at a mall cafe. She spotted me first. We sat, talked, laughed about the absurdity of it all. One coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a pattern. And now, 3 years later, she's my girlfriend. Sometimes karma doesn't need your help, but every once in a while, it needs a little nudge. And that's where I come in. He scammed me. He tried to cheat the system. So I gave the system everything it needed to destroy him. And in the end, the man who thought he'd win by lying lost everything. Including the woman who now knows what real trust feels like. Story. She announced, "I joined a sugar baby site." "You can't support my lifestyle," I said. "Show me your profile." Then revealed I was all 8 of her rich matches using different photos. The 30K she bragged about stealing was marked bills the police were tracking. I, 29 male, was sitting at our kitchen table when Giselle, 26, dropped the bomb. 3 years together, and she hit me with this while I was eating leftover Chinese food. "I joined a sugar baby site." She announced like she was telling me she'd switched to oat milk. "You can't support the lifestyle I deserve." I literally had line hanging out of my mouth. "What?" She flipped her hair. "That stupid move she does when she thinks she's being boss. Look, nothing personal, but your salary is limiting. I need someone who can actually provide." For context, I make 85K a year as a software developer. Not rich, but we lived comfortably. Giselle worked part-time at a boutique, making maybe 20K. Guess whose money paid for her BMW lease, her monthly spa treatments, and her collection of designer bags? So you're what? Dating other men for money? It's not dating. She rolled her eyes. It's an arrangement. These men understand the value of my companionship. The audacity. I stayed calm though. "Show me your profile." She actually laughed. Why, jealous? "Want to see what real success looks like?" She pulled up the site on her phone, turning it toward me with this smug smile. Profile name, Diamond Doll 95 bio, expensive taste. Champagne lifestyle. If you can't handle a high-maintenance goddess, swipe left. Monthly allowance starting at 10K. Serious inquiries only. The photos were something. Lingerie shots I'd never seen before. Designer clothes she definitely didn't own when we met. "How long?" I asked. 2 months. Already have 8 generous daddies lined up. Made 30K so far. She was bragging. One of them owns a tech company. Another has a yacht. They appreciate what I bring to the table. And what's that exactly? Class beauty. The kind of sophistication you never valued. I almost laughed. This girl once tried to return a dress to Target that she'd bought at Walmart. "Where's the 30K? Safe. Away from this mediocre life." She stood up, grabbed her Chanel bag. "Fake B2B. I'm moving out next week. Already put a deposit on a luxury apartment downtown. My new men are helping with rent." She left for her arrangement that night. I sat there for maybe 5 minutes processing. Then I smiled. See, Giselle didn't know about my side business. I'd been doing freelance security consulting for 2 years, specifically in financial fraud detection. I had access to resources she couldn't imagine. More importantly, I had connections at the district attorney's office from a case I'd worked on. Time to have some fun. Update 1. Elmo, y'all aren't ready for this. So, remember those 8 generous daddies Giselle was bragging about? Yeah, about that. I spent 3 days creating something beautiful. 8 different profiles on that sugar site, each with a complete backstory. Jackson, tech entrepreneur, 34. Dimitri, real estate mogul, 41. Alejandro, investment banker, 38. Kenji, crypto millionaire. Mina Felipe art dealer, 45. Rohan surgeon, 37. Bruno hotel chain air, 33. Garrett, hedge fund manager, 40. Used AI for the photos, created fake LinkedIn profiles, burner phones for each the works. My freelance income, perfect for funding this operation. But here's the genius part. I'd already been documenting her spending for weeks. See, when she said she made 30K, she'd been stealing from my emergency fund. I'd noticed withdrawals, but wanted to see how far she'd go. Every withdrawal was documented, recorded, reported to my lawyer. I matched with her as all 8 profiles. The messages she sent: holy entitlement, Batman to Jackson. Baby, I need $5K for a shopping spree. A goddess like me shouldn't wear department store clothes. Dimitri, my rent is $3K this month. I know you understand a woman of my caliber needs the right environment. To FIP, there's this Cartier bracelet that would look perfect on me. Only $8K, that's nothing to you, right? Each persona I created had a different texting style. She was juggling conversations like a pro, sending lingerie pics, making promises about exclusive arrangements. The best part, every dollar I sent was marked. Literally. I worked with my detective friend Troy. Owed me a favor to use bills from a recent evidence seizure that were photographed and catalogued. Completely legal for controlled operations with proper authorization. 3 days in, she texts me, the real me. Moving out tomorrow, my new place is sick. You could never. I replied, cool, good luck. She sent a selfie from her new apartment. I recognized it. She was at a hotel. The deposit she paid, that was my money she stole, thinking she was getting more from her sugar daddies. Meanwhile, Alejandro asked her, baby, can we meet Thursday? I want to spoil you properly. Her, of course. Where should I meet you, Alejandro? Ritz-Carlton bar 8 p.m. Wear something stunning. I have a surprise. She sent back heart emojis and started planning her outfit immediately in our sorry my apartment that she hadn't moved out of yet. Thursday was going to be a lad update too. Okay, so Thursday arrived, Giselle spent all day getting ready. Hair salon, nails, spray tan, the works, all paid for with the marked bills Dimitri had sent her for self-care. She left at 7:30, wearing a dress she bought with Jackson's money, jewelry from Phipe, and shoes from Bruno. Girl looked like a walking evidence locker. I was already at the Ritz-Carlton. Not alone, though. Troy was there with his partner, Detective Monica Reeves. They had a whole file ready. 8 p.m. Giselle walks in looking around for Alejandro. I texted from the burner. Running late, baby. Order champagne. I'll cover it. She orders a 300 bottle. Doesn't even hesitate. 8:15 p.m. I walk over. Hey, Giselle. Her face went white. What are you doing here? Meeting my girlfriend. Or should I say, Diamond Doll 95. I don't know what year. I pulled out my phone, showed her all 8 conversations. Jackson says, hi, so does Dimitri. Oh, and Phipe wanted me to tell you that bracelet looked better in the store. The transition from confusion to rage to fear was beautiful. You catfished me. Catfished? No, I'd call it fraud investigation. See those nice officers at the bar? She turned. Troy and Monica were walking over. Miss Giselle Hoffman. Monica's voice was pure professionalism. We needed to discuss the $30,000 in stolen funds you've been spending. What? I didn't steal anything. Those men gave me that money. I smiled. Those men don't exist. But the money you took from my emergency fund, that's real and documented. Every single withdrawal. Troy stepped forward. Ma'am, we've tracked $30,000 in marked bills that were reported stolen. They've been used that he pulled out a list. Nordstrom, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, the Marriott downtown. That's not I didn't. The serial numbers match, Monica added. Your boyfriend here filed a report 2 weeks ago. We've been tracking the bills since. Giselle turned to me, tears starting. Not pretty tears either. Full mascara running catastrophe. You set me up? Set you up? You announced you were leaving me for sugar daddies. You stole from me. You bragged about it. I just facilitated your fantasy. This is entrapment. Troy actually left. Ma'am, entrapment is when law enforcement induces someone to commit a crime they wouldn't otherwise commit. You stole the money before any of this started. We just tracked where you spent it. But wait, it gets better. Remember that luxury apartment she put a deposit on? Yeah. She'd used my information as a co-signer without my knowledge. The landlord called me that morning because the deposit check bounced. Turns out you can't deposit money orders from fake sugar daddies. Also, I added Jerome from your boutique called something about missing inventory. Apparently, some of those designer pieces you've been flaunting match their missing items list. Now she was sobbing. You destroyed my life. No, babe. You destroyed your own life. I just documented it. Monica stepped forward with the cuffs. Miss Hoffman, you're under arrest for grand theft and fraud. You have the right to remain silent. As they led her away, she screamed, I hate you. You're nothing, a nobody. I deserved better. I sipped her $300 champagne. Cool. The bartender who'd watched everything poured me another glass on the house. Man, that was epic. Update 3. So, It's been 2 weeks since the arrest, and who boy did the entitled circus come to town. First, her mom, Diane, called me crying, not apologizing, crying about how I'd ruined her baby's future. She was just confused. Young women make mistakes. Diane, she stole $30,000. You make that in 4 months? That's not how theft works, Diane. You could have just let her go. Why did you have to involve police? She stole $30,000. Stop being dramatic. You got it back, didn't you? I hadn't, actually. Most of it was spent. But Diane didn't need to know that yet. Then came her best friend, Lucia. This girl showed up at my apartment at 11 p.m. wine drunk, demanding I drop the charges. You're such a small man, she slurred. Gigi was just trying to level up, and you couldn't handle it. Level up? She committed felony theft. She was exploring her options. Men do it all the time. Men steal $30K and call it exploring options. You know what I mean? Rich men trade in wives for younger models constantly. Okay, but they don't usually steal from their current wives first. You're twisting everything. She told me you were controlling, monitoring her spending probably. That's financial abuse. I pulled out my phone, showed her my bank statements. Here's me monitoring her spending. Oh, look. $3,000 at Nordstrom, $2,500 at Chanel, $4,000 cash withdrawals, all from my emergency fund. Lucia squinted at the screen. So, you're supposed to spoil your woman with money. She stole? You're impossible. She stormed off, but not before trying to kick my door. Missed and hit the wall, hobbled away cursing. But the peak entitlement came from Giselle herself. She called from jail using her one phone call. Not to apologize, not to explain, to negotiate. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. She started like she was running a board meeting. You're going to drop these ridiculous charges. I'll forgive you for the catfishing thing, and we can both move on. Forgive me. You'll forgive me. Yeah, you humiliated me. That whole Ritz-Carlton thing was completely unnecessary. You stole $30,000? Oh my God. Stop saying that number like it means something. You have savings. Had savings. Whatever. Look, if you don't drop the charges, I'll tell everyone you're an abusive psycho who entrapped me. Good luck with that from jail. I'm serious. I'll ruin your reputation. I'll tell your job you're a predator who preys on vulnerable women. Vulnerable? You called yourself a goddess who deserved better than my mediocre life. That's taken out of context. I have the text messages. Those were private. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. Giselle, you're being charged with grand theft. You're looking at 3 to 5 years. Maybe get a lawyer instead of making threats. This is not over. When I get out, I hung up. Her public defender called me the next day. Seemed exhausted already. Mr. Morrison, I'm going to be straight with you. Your ex is difficult. You don't say. She's insisting this is all a misunderstanding. Says the money was a gift. A gift I reported stolen before she spent it. Yeah, she's not grasping that part. She also wants to sue you for emotional distress. 4. Creating fake profiles to manipulate her affections. Her words. She was already stealing before I made those profiles. I've explained that multiple times. She says that's irrelevant. How is theft irrelevant to theft charges? Heavy sigh. Mr. Morrison, between you and me, take the plea deal if they offer one. This trial would be exhausting. Meanwhile, I'm getting messages from random men. Turns out Giselle gave my number to her other matches before she got arrested. These dudes were mad. Hey, is this Diamond Doll 95's boyfriend? She owes me for the gifts I sent. Where's Giselle? We had an arrangement. Your girl scammed me out of $2K. Wait, what? Turns out our girl was double dipping. While taking my marked bills as 8 different sugar daddies, she was also talking to real ones, getting money, then ghosting them. One guy, Frederick, actually met me for coffee to explain. She said she needed $3K for her mom's surgery. Sent it immediately. Then she blocked me. Her mom's a yoga instructor. Very healthy. Yeah, I figured that out. She hit up my brother too. Different sob story. Something about escaping an abusive ex. Let me guess. I'm the abusive ex. Yep. Said you controlled all her money and hit her. I have never laid a hand on her. Oh, I believe you now. But she was convincing. Crying on video calls, showing bruises. Bruises. He showed me screenshots. She had bruises all right. From her CrossFit class. I know, because I paid for that membership, and she'd posted about the tough workout on Instagram the same day. How much did she get from you guys total? Frederick pulled out his phone, did some math with his brother. Between us about 8K Jesus, there's a group me chat. Hold on, he added me to a group called Diamond Doll 95 Victims, 23 members. The stories were all similar. Medical emergencies, escaping abuse, family crisis, the total over $50K in 2 months. One guy typed, "We should press charges." Another already did. Detective Reeves has my statement. Monica Reeves, my Troy's partner. This was beautiful. I called Troy. "You guys building a case?" "Bro, your ex is looking at federal charges now. Wire fraud across state lines." This is FBI territory. FBI. 3 of the guys are from different states. She used electronic transfers. That's federal. The universe was serving justice with extra sauce. Final update. 6 months later, trial day. Giselle had somehow bonded out. Her mom took a second mortgage and spent the entire time trying to rebuild her image. She started a blog, Surviving Financial Abuse. My story, I kid you not, posted daily about how men weaponize money and how she was a victim of systematic manipulation. She got maybe 12 followers. 3 were bot accounts. She also tried to start a GoFundMe. Nope, I'm kidding. She tried starting a support fund through some sketchy app. Raised $37, probably all from her mom. Day of the trial, she showed up in a conservative suit, hair in a bun, minimal makeup, playing the victim hard. Her lawyer, still the exhausted public defender, tried arguing temporary insanity. Miss Hoffman was experiencing a mental health crisis induced by financial stress and emotional manipulation. The prosecutor, a Sharks and Heels woman named Tamara, wasn't having it. "Your Honor, Miss Hoffman systematically defrayed 23 men over 2 months, stealing over $80,000 total. She created elaborate lies, fake emergencies, and false abuse allegations. This wasn't insanity, it was a business plan. They played recordings of Giselle's jail calls. Remember, she had more than one. Yeah, she called Lucia too. Girl, when I get out, I'm going to start a makeup line for wrongfully accused women. This whole experience has been so traumatic, but also inspiring. I'm thinking of calling it Innocent Glow." The judge actually rubbed his temples. Then came character witnesses. Diane took the stand. "My daughter is a good girl who just wanted nice things." Is that a crime? No. But theft is. She didn't know it was theft. She thought those men were giving her gifts. The men that didn't exist. Well, she didn't know that. She didn't know her own boyfriend was creating fake profiles. He tricked her. He's manipulative. The judge. "Ma'am, your daughter stole money before the fake profiles were created. Please focus on the timeline." Diane huffed. "I don't see why timeline matters. The point is she suffered enough." Then came my testimony. I just presented facts, bank statements, text messages, the marked bills tracking, the dating profiles, the messages between her and sugar daddies. Giselle's lawyer tried to paint me as vindictive. "You created elaborate fake personas to deceive my client after she'd already stolen from me." Yes, you admit to deception. I admit to catching a thief. You humiliated her publicly. She humiliated herself. I just documented it. You could have handled this privately. I tried. She laughed and said I was pathetic. Giselle suddenly stood up. I was exploring my value in the marketplace. "Judge Miss Hoffman, sit down." He never appreciated me. I deserve better. "Miss Hoffman, control yourself, or I'll hold you in contempt." She sat down, but kept muttering about small dick energy, loud enough for everyone to hear. The verdict came back in 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Grand theft, wire fraud, filing false reports. Oh yeah, she tried to file abuse charges against me that got thrown out. Identity theft, the co-signing thing. The federal charges were separate, but guaranteed she was going away for a while. Sentencing was beautiful. The judge looked tired, but also kind of amused. "Miss Hoffman, in my 20 years on the bench, I've rarely seen such a clear case of entitlement leading to criminal behavior. You had a partner willing to support you, and instead of appreciating that, you decided you deserved more, so you stole. Then you defrauded multiple innocent people. When caught, instead of showing remorse, you've spent 6 months claiming to be a victim." Giselle started crying, ugly crying. "Your tears now don't erase your choices." Then you're sentenced to 4 years state prison, followed by 3 years federal sentences to run concurrently. You'll serve 4 years total, with possibility of parole in. 2.5, you're also ordered to pay restitution of $80,000. $80,000? I don't have that. Then you'll have plenty of time to figure out a payment plan. As they led her away, she screamed at me. "I hope you're happy. You destroyed my life over money." I said, "Nothing. Just watched her go." Diane rushed at me in the hallway. "You monster." "She loved you." "No, Diane. She loved my credit card." "You'll regret this. You'll never find another woman like her." God, I hope not. Troy met me outside. Buy you a beer? Absolutely. Got a letter from Giselle last week from prison. Not an apology. Oh no, a business proposal. She wants me to invest in her post-prison plan, a dating app for financially ambitious women seeking their worth. I'm not kidding. She included a whole business plan, projected earnings, marketing strategy, even suggested I could be a silent partner and make back everything you lost and more. The audacity is almost admirable. Almost? I sent back a one-word response. No. Got another letter yesterday. She's now threatening to write a tell-all book about me called Trapped. How my ex weaponized the justice system. Her cellmate apparently has a cousin in publishing. I forwarded it to Tamara the prosecutor. She called me laughing. She does realize she can't profit from her crimes, right? Son of Sam Law. Don't think she's familiar with that one. Well, she's about to be. As for me, life's good. Promoted to senior developer. Bought a nice condo with my money. Dating a teacher named Ramona, who thinks this whole story is better than Netflix and pays for her own dinners. The marked bills mostly recovered from the luxury goods she bought. Sold them at police auction. Got back about $40K total. The sugar baby site shut down after the FBI investigation revealed it was basically a fraud marketplace. Frederick and the other guys formed an actual support group. They meet monthly, call themselves Sugar Victims Anonymous. Frederick sent me a t-shirt as a joke. Lucia still posts about what a monster I am. Gets maybe 3 likes per post. Diane sent me a bill for her emotional damages and therapy costs. I framed it. And Giselle, last I heard, she's teaching yoga in prison and telling everyone she's a political prisoner of the patriarchy. Still, has 3 years left to go. Cool. P.S. to anyone thinking about dating someone who says you can't support their lifestyle, run. That's not a partner. That's a parasite with a Chanel addiction. PPS. No, I won't share the sugar baby site name or the marked bills trick details. Don't try this at home? Get a lawyer and proper law enforcement involvement. If someone steals from you, Giselle, if you're reading this from the prison library, your mom says hi and wants her house.